So let's paint a picture. It's 2018. I'm 19 years old. I'm trying to figure it out. I interview a few people on my podcast, and my friend says to me, hey, you know how you go by the stage name Sully Bop? Well, maybe you should change this to BopCast and make it based around your persona. And I said, you know what, Nick? That's a good idea. Fast forward 5 years later, now he's my life coach. He's been helping me make decisions this entire time, whether I knew it or not. This is the most unfortunate part of this entire story, is that in 2020, in May 2020, my friend Brian Conklin passed away in a tragic car accident. He had been on my podcast only a year before that. We had been planning an episode for May of that year, and he tragically passed, but there is an upside to this story. Brian's parents and family reached out to me and said that how much they appreciated having that podcast interview. Now, if I even cut to an overlay of this interview, you're going to see how terribly it was recorded, and honestly how bad the conversation is. But it turns out that even a shitty conversation amongst a couple kids in community college turns out to be one of the most sentimental pieces of that person's life. So a podcast is much, 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 much more than media or just videos or on a screen or audio in your headphones. A podcast is much bigger than that. And that leads me to what I want to talk about with you today, which is my podcast. My podcast is called BopCast. It's on my other channel. That's called Sully Bop. BopCast is an interview show interviewing outliers who are breaking the mold regardless of the status quo. What does that mean? That means you can be working a 9-to-5, you can be self-employed, you can be a business owner, you can be a multimillionaire, you can be a race car driver. It doesn't matter. As long as you've figured out how to pursue your passion all the time, every day. That is what I'm interested in. And more specifically is, can you teach other people what you have learned along the way? And how do we get people's attention? Well, we wrap this all up into a compelling story. So if you go through my episodes, you'll see that each of them is tied to a particular concept. Whether we talked for an hour or 2 hours, it's tied to one hook of the story. And I'll be honest with you, I don't take many people that request to be on this podcast. And that is why I have not publicly released my form in the last 5 years, but I'm doing it today because I want to give my audience access to this. And I know how many powerful stories are in there. You may have one, right? And once again, this is not a situation where we take everybody, right? You're going to have to apply. It's a very quick form. You can fill it out. We'll get back to you. If you are denied, I will give you feedback. Maybe just personally, it's not a topic that I want to cover, right? This is pretty subjective when it comes to creating content. And my podcast is subjective because it's mine and I've built it. It's not for me. I'm just the one that's put it together, and you can be a part of it too. So I'm so excited to roll this out today. I'm so excited to publicly release my form to my audience. You are the first one to actually know that it exists and it's out there. Next month, I'm gonna bring you 10 of the best business podcasts to be on. This is business, real estate, lifestyle. All of these podcasts are top 1% globally, and so that means they're getting downloads, and I know that because I know how to analyze these shows. I've done the work. I'm just going to tell you what podcast to get on if you want to shoot for the stars, that's why we're here. We want to make the best content in the world. That's what we're doing. Why else would we do it, right? And that's what you can do if you want to be on my show. So fill out the form below. Also go to BopCast, go to my YouTube page in the description below. And 100% the thing that you have to do to be on this podcast is subscribe to my other channel as well. Make sure you subscribe to this one. Make sure you go to subscribe to the Sully Bop YouTube channel that I'm putting in the description here as well. And that's it for today. I wish you the best of luck. If you have any questions about podcast, content creation, hip-hop, DJing, anything that I do on a weekly basis, you name it, hit me. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you next month.